Going on the air.
Here we are.
Okay, it is 6 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. We do need adoption of the agenda, please, and we do have some addendum there.
So
Move
moved.
to adopt the agenda with the addendums.
Okay,
Second.
moved and seconded to adopt the agenda with the addendum, and we do have a little addendum to the addendum as well that we'll discuss when we get there. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Item 3.0, approval of minutes from the March 18th meeting and also the March 28th special meeting.
Move to adopt minutes.
Second.
Moved and seconded to adopt those minutes, approve them. Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. 4.0, consideration of bills and warrants. Any questions about the bills and warrants?
Move to approve the bills and warrants.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve those bills and warrants. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. 5.0, hearing of requests and suggestions of citizens and organizations. This would be anybody who's not already on the agenda to speak. Anybody here to speak to us that's not already on the agenda? Seeing no one, we will move on to 6.0, special presentation. We do have Mr. Prell here from the Lett County Commission to discuss the Rural Development Program and tax abatement. So welcome to our meeting.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well.
What I wanted to talk about is the NRP program, Rural Development Tax Abatement Program. The City of Parsons has one right now. Labette County, we have one in the county. USD 503 is a part of the cities currently. There could be the rare instance that somebody's outside the city limits that could, residents that could do this, such as yourself, or that's still in 503 district. When we it's up for renewal this August, and what I'd like to do is get everybody on the same page from all the cities and school districts and LCC on board as well. So there's kind of a uniform, there could be, as far as procedures and approvals, that'll be left up to you guys. Or, our final, but I'd like everything to be uniform as if it's a 5-year tax abatement, if it's a 10-year tax abatement. I don't want to compete, I don't want Parsons to compete with outside the city limits. I don't want the school districts to compete, saying, oh, if you live here, you can get a better tax deal. I'd like us all just to work together from the cities and the county and LCC. And that's what today is just kind of, when we rework this, if we do, would it be something that you would be on board with? I'm sure you'll have questions and want to see the final details. And the final draft isn't done of what we'll be doing.
I do have a quick question. So
Sure.
We have a copy of the one that's currently in place that we approved, I guess, probably about 5 years ago or 6. So would you envision material changes to this one?
There was, I guess the talking points last time was on residential, and this is something before I came into, was on. You can do residential tax abatements up to 10 years. There were parties on both sides that wanted, some wanted 5, some wanted 10. And that's, we need your input there as well. You could be affected, with this. How many participate, with, residents, not that many. I think we need to do a better job as a county publicizing this, advertising it, encouraging it. And it could be new construction, just on residents. New construction, home remodels, anything of that sort. But if we don't advertise it, people don't know about it. We've had some calls that say, we want to do that, can we apply? But it's too late, you've already begun the project, and they're upset, and I understand. So if we're going to revamp it, if we're going to advertise this and push this as a program for all of Labette County, I I would like everyone to kind of be on the same page, so we can offer, no matter where you want to live or what you're doing, we can offer the same benefits, to move here, to rent, to grow here, be it whether a business, a residence, your family, and would it be something that you guys, want to continue to be involved in?
Well, this board has never not supported this type of initiative, to my knowledge, in the recent history. So as a result, obviously when the product comes to us, the one that we have now is like 10-year abatement on commercial and industrial and 5-year on residential. If it's something that's similar to that, we'll talk about it.
And it would be.
Yeah, I don't see any major resistance. We've always been supportive of that.
Yeah.
We've always been good stewards of tax dollars, I think, and tried to keep our mill levy down. So, any other board members have any comments? At least that's my
In
history.
the footnotes, one of the former county commissioners was opposed to it if the school districts did not sign up into it. So are the county commissioners on board now?
They are. They are, and looking over that, I don't know, I wasn't there. I don't know if anybody ever asked them, so I wanted to make sure that I came and asked you, that if you wanted to be or would be a part of this. I think it could be a good program, and we can make some changes. If we can't keep doing the same things, because we're losing population and we want to combat that. And that's every community, whether it's 506, 503, 504. But that's kind of, this was, the more I got into it, the more I kind of learned that there were so many different programs that nobody knows what everyone is doing. So we're trying to make some changes towards that.
So the hope is 506 would be on board as well as
Yes.
LCC, correct?
Yes. And that's the thing, as far as the county program, Altamont has just implemented one, and 506 is a part of that one. The one that was done before me, that was, I don't know if 506 was not, they did not participate, but I don't know if they were ever asked. So I'm trying to rectify that. So going forward, it can be a win-win for all of us.
Well,
So is that an action item we voted on, or is this?
yeah, we approved it.
All right, so
We
is that-
approved it.
So we need to vote on it again?
Not yet, because we don't have anything in front of us. But the version that's in place right now that expires
As of,
2024, sometime in 2024.
August.
Yeah.
okay,
We voted on and we approved.
so I thought.
Yeah. And especially, yeah.
And because I didn't have, because of the, I don't have the City of Parsons, their copy, I didn't know you guys were included. I just had the counties, and there was, no schools and no LCC. So I didn't know if anybody had ever even approached.
Jim Zaleski came and spoke to us.
Yeah.
And requested our
But that was for the
support.
city program.
Yeah.
But for the county, you really wouldn't, you have very rarely, you'll have a house or anything that's outside the city limits that's still in 503, but
Sure.
if, just in case,
Yeah.
I'm covering all my bases.
Yeah. See, I just, we'll have to read the final print, but I just think that we've always historically been supportive of this, and so we can
Yes,
discuss it.
and we appreciate
but-
that, I do.
Yeah.
And I don't see any big material changes.
Okay.
If we did, extend it for residences for 10 years or something like that, but that's nothing set in stone.
Okay.
That's it. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Still there.
Okay, moving on to 6.0B, Christina Mayhew is going to give us a presentation from the district social work perspective.
Hello. Let's hope this works. Okay. So I have a presentation here. Okay. I'm not sure these pictures are of Baltimore, but it is what it is. I like the. So I did attend the National School Social
We got to
Work
get you back on there. You're
Oh.
you're not on there now.
You're
Back
so
on, and then they pushed it back.
He's going to take care of it for you.
Goes into like a split screen whenever you do that.
Oh. Will I be able to see the notes? Yes. Okay, is that good?
It doesn't like the presenter mode.
Should have gone back to scan comments.
I love technology except when it's not being technology.
It doesn't have the notes.
Yeah.
How about if you do it where it's not in presentation view? And then it, like,
Just
there we go.
like this? Okay, the notes aren't there.
There you go.
Okay. I'm gonna do the best I can without these notes. Because I had good notes written. Okay, so first, I do want to say thank you. I'm extremely grateful for being able to represent USD 503 at the national conference. There were, I think, 700 social workers there, school social workers. And we represented, I think, 15 states, including Alaska and Hawaii. So this is some elevators. They affirmed our presence at the hotel. School social workers lift student spirit and elevate student well-being. The pearls of our legacy, resilience, strength, and growth. The first session we went to pre-conference was trauma affecting the brain and learning. Some things that I took away from there, some good tools was the culture audit, the action planning and readiness, environmental mapping, and trigger mapping, as well as the SEL well check interview. And basically, this just says the culture audit, what resources do we have around for our students, environmental mapping. The culture audit is, what the school looks like. Environmental mapping is the resources. The trigger mapping I found really interesting because it identifies triggers for students and their families. So I've given that to a couple of the administrators but we need to tailor it for our district. I've actually met with Avery, who presented this conference a couple of times. Basically, we build on our strengths and grow our students. She talked a lot about what we need to do to make sure our students are okay. These things, when we do these things, it does affect attendance. If we don't identify the triggers for students and why they're not coming to school, things like that. So the well check interview is how are you doing? What can we do to help you? Things like that. We've all seen this hand model here. So in the last session, I'm lost without these notes. The last session, the last slide, it was talking about the hand model and how basically when our students flip our lids, this is what it looks like, this hand model here. So there's nothing connected, the palm, the limbic system, it's not. So basically, it should look like this, the brain when a student is doing what they're supposed to be doing, acting how they should act. But when a student flips their lid, basically the amygdala is oversized and it shrinks the prefrontal cortex and the hippocampus, which is our thinking and logic, self-regulation and control and things like that. So this is what you see when a student has flipped their lid. So that I'm sure we've all seen this, and that you can see there's nothing connected there. But when we are all together, it's all connected to the brainstem and things like that. The next picture I'm going to show you is just one that I added. Actually, no, see. Okay, so basically, Breathe for Change. So what they told us, it takes 90 minutes. If we don't do anything when a student is dysregulated, it takes 90 minutes for them to come back to reality, basically where we can talk to them. So they presented it in terms of high school, so that's 2 class periods. Elementary, that's 90 minutes. So if we do nothing with that student, it's just a continuous loop of re-triggering those emotions. So that's where Breathe for Change comes into place. With yoga, that was a big thing. They had yoga every morning. I didn't go, but that was a big thing. The presenter, Bryan ISD, they had a couple of years ago, students stormed a convenience store, and the article I read, students were from age 8 to 17, and so she thought, we have to do something, what's going on with these kids, so she kind of did some research. It's good mindfulness, grounding, the 5 senses like a body scan, we learned that a lot in social work school. Know your surroundings, what's going on, using your 5 senses, things like that. Balanced and box breathing, mindful movement. So basically, it's good for kids to get up and move around. When they are dysregulated, it's good for them to get up and be able to move around. Every session, they talked about the importance of relationship building. We all do that. How are you feeling? What makes you smile? How are you doing today? Just a simple hi in the hallway. So the kids are always like, here she comes, I better have an answer. Because I'm always like, hey, how are you today? So that's important to do that. But she just talked about the importance, and we think yoga, I thought I can't do it, I'm not flexible, but it's more than that. But I didn't go to the sessions. So these pictures, before we came back, we visited my uncle's ranch in Oklahoma. So this first picture here, this horse is Ugly Betty. She's a prize-winning thoroughbred. So I was like, oh, she's so pretty. I want to take a picture. I was trying to pet her. And you see the second picture, it was like, okay. Yeah, she's getting a little close. So then when we move, I got a good picture. And then this one, I flipped my lid. I instantly fight, flight, or freeze. I was like, oh. And all she did, she just turned around to like, no, like who's petting me? But you can see the trainer, my aunt was holding her the whole time. That is what, a comical version of what we look like when we flip our lid. Next session, we talked about neurodiversity in the classroom. One thing that stuck out with me was that still bodies are not always calm bodies. So those kids that are not paying attention, ignoring us, that are spacing out, they are not always, that doesn't mean that they're being defiant or disrespectful. They could have a lot going on. We watched a video in one of the meetings with Jeff, I believe, and the little girl had glitter in a jar and then set the jar down and the glitter just kept, so the jar was still, but that she wasn't calm. A still body does not equal a calm body. So we talked about neurodivergent and neurotypical. Neurodivergent refers to the brain that functions differently than what we consider typical. So that's when we see ADHD, that's a common one. Schizophrenia, any diagnosis like tic disorders, anything like that, neurotypical is having a brain that functions in a way we learned about in textbooks, which is normal. But you see the strike through normal, because what is normal? Identity first language, social skills, we teach on, then come together. Do not use functioning labels. High functioning, low functioning, because what does that look like? What does high functioning look like, and what does low functioning look like? So don't push one style of social development. Maintain inclusive and supportive classrooms, which we do. They talk about the lighting, flexible seating, things like that. As far as the social development, they talked a lot about autism. So when we tell that little kindergartner who's screaming, use your words, that we're asking them to use a skill that they don't have at that time. So that's the communication piece that we're trying to let us know, like we need to think about our words when we deal with neurodivergent children.
Can I ask you a question before you
Yes.
go? What does identity first? What is,
Identity first, so that was in my notes. So identity first, it's okay to say, and I struggled with it, but they said like ADHDers. You know,
before you even...
Leanne is autistic, but we've learned Leanne has autism. But autistic it's okay. Identity first, because that allows them to own their intersectionality and their themselves. So identity first language is, you know, ADHDers, autism, things like that. So that's, I kind of struggle with it a little bit, just because, you know, over time it's been, you know, you have to be person first language,
Right.
but identity first says Leanne is autistic, you know.
So you bring up understanding from people? Was that the idea, or
Well,
the child's understanding?
It's, there was a Cross River Therapy, I believe they said critics argue that it's not allowing that person to be themselves, to use their identity. Then it talks about ableism, which is basically not acknowledging a person's identity, you know, like not having, for disability, for disabled persons, not having elevators to use. So ableism, or saying, well, you don't look like you have a disorder, you don't look like you have autism, but that's with the way they describe ableism. So this picture, there was controversy that Albert Einstein really didn't say this, but I liked it. I thought it was fit the bill right now. Everybody's a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, he'll live his whole life believing that it's stupid. So that they talk about equity there. Basically, back to the neurodiversity, you know, teach that student how they can learn. So this one, yeah, it just talks about having equity in our classrooms, and, you know, these are new symbols. The rainbow infinity symbol is for neurodiversity. The gold symbol is for autism. They no longer use the puzzle pieces because that says that there's something missing, or that person that has autism or a neurodivergent, that is neurodivergent, needs to be put together, and that they're not whole. So they no longer use these symbols here. They use the infinity symbol, and that was created by a mathematician, which means, you know, infinite, without bound, things like that. Next, we talked about school-based mental health, and mental health is an integral and essential component of health, and that's from the World Health Organization 2024. The definitions are up here. Mental health is a state of well-being in which an individual realizes his or her own abilities and can cope with normal stresses. A mental health need is a distress or discomfort that does not meet psychiatric criteria. And then mental illness is also called mental health disorders, and it refers to a wide range of mental health. So the trauma, they talk about acute, chronic, and complex. Acute is one situation, chronic is ongoing, and then the complex. So then the different types of trauma, public trauma she talked about. The speaker was actually from Kansas City, so she talked to us about the shooting at the parade, at the Chiefs parade. That's public trauma because the students were involved. We had students from here, there. I was there, so students were like, are you okay? You know what? Private trauma is, a lot of times we see the abuse, neglect situations, when they suffer a loss or grief that they don't. I have to tell the story. When we moved here, TJ was in 3rd grade, He was in second grade in Galveston. We had just buried my stepdaughter. So he was dealing with that. TJ presented to the nurse every day with a stomach ache or a headache. And I'm like, he was fine this morning, you know, what's going on? But that was him dealing with his trauma. But the nurse reached out, and then we went to support because we were all dealing with grief, and we went to support. So then when we moved here, he had a great third grade teacher. We had left Galveston due to the hurricane, so that was trauma also. My kids watch TV constantly. My mom told them you cannot watch TV anymore because they continuously watch the hurricane. And that was trauma that they were dealing with. You know, but we had good teacher, good district, it worked out. Community trauma, that would be more just like the hurricane, you know, things like that. In Baltimore, the bridge just collapsed. Thankfully, we had gotten home. I didn't know anybody that was there, but that's community trauma because those students had to deal with that, those families had to deal with that. One of our towns next door is dealing with community trauma right now.
Yeah.
Students are here, those students there. So all those things, and they can present as ADHD, aggression. Even in staff, it can, you know, lead to like not coming to work, not being there for our students like we should be. Historical trauma, just what it is, it's gone on and on, it's generational. Racial trauma talks about, it's race-based trauma. It talks about what our Black and brown students and adults have dealt with over time, and like microaggressions, things that they still deal with today. I say we, not they, but things we still deal with today. So as long as we address it, we understand it, I think we're heading in the right direction. This one was a keynote speaker, Tara Brown. This was one of my favorite sessions, actually. These are some pictures that I took. You see the little cards I put on your seat there. Tara talked to us about her tagline was sling dopamine, like the feel good, you know, just give our kids something to look forward to. We do that with the Viking cards, but those cards that I gave you are ones that she had. But she talked about some of her statements where I love you too much to lower the bar of excellence and expectations. She was an educator and a basketball coach. She taught at a really bad school. I mean, just one of the worst. She said the school backed up to a really bad housing project. And she has students that just, it was like the worst of the worst. But she worked really hard to build relationships and, you know, just keep going with those students. When she said people buy into the leader before they buy into the vision, she told us a story as an educator. She had a student, she said, beautiful Black girl walked in the classroom late. So as educators, how do y'all feel when they walk in your class late? So she's like, okay. So she said she was teaching and the student raised her hand. It wasn't time for her to answer. And the student snapped at her, like, hey. So the whole room was like, ooh. And she said, no, she didn't answer. What happened, this student, when she built that relationship with her, she found out she was from Ghana. She was in line to be a princess. Her dad was like top. So she was used to having that authority. Like, if I say, do this, you do it. But going into this school, they didn't know. So she had to build that relationship with her. But in the beginning, we were all like, oh, she snapped at you? Like, ooh, okay. So this one, I like this fish picture. It's hard to see, but these are ones I took on my phone. This one, I think, says a lot. This, on the surface, we see this shark that can get through anything, but underneath we have a little goldfish. And I think that is a good representation of what some of our kids are. You know, each day, we don't know what's in front, behind, or even on the other side of them. If I enter your class in pain, you won't heal my pain with superior curriculum instruction. She told us that she was also a basketball coach. Like I said, she had some of the hardest kids, worst of the worst. She insisted that in basketball practice, these kids would not leave the gym until they all made a free throw that was nothing but net. She said, we spent hours and hours and hours there. So, long story short, she was basically instilling work ethic, building that relationship with them. She said she didn't care about winning, but she was instilling something in those kids. So, years later, found somebody on Facebook. It was one of the kids, and they're all like law-abiding citizens today. They're all doing well. And he told her, you know, Coach, we still have pickup games, and none of us leave the court until we all hit a free throw. That's nothing but net. So she left that impression on them just through basketball and athletics. Here we talked about the system versus the symptom, advocating for equity in the schools. Predictable means preventable. This one was Kenneth Bourne. He has an organization that basically I had it all in the notes. He basically, for Black boys, he is a positive role model for them because he's in Philly. So he believes, based on the school to prison pipeline, that isolation breeds suicide and disease. You recognize and address the needs, and then resist the re-traumatization. Get feedback from the parents, have these welcome meetings, welcome back. What do you need, and what do you want to learn? So he told us a story. In Philly, you go to school based on your block. He lived on a block. He happened to go to an all-boys private school. You wear uniforms. They check uniforms head to toe. He got to school one day and he said, let me tell you what happened the day before I went to school. It was a Sunday. Somebody threw a cinder block through his window. So he had that, he got up and went to school. On the way to school, he got in a fight because of where he went to school. He had to wear a uniform. They thought, you think you're better than me. So he got in a fight. He didn't eat breakfast. He missed his breakfast. And when he got there through the metal detector, they were checking him, his uniform was right until they got to his socks. You had to wear black socks, but black dress socks. He had black athletic socks, and they tried to send him home for that. And he said, no, today I'm not going home. You're going to have to put me in ISS. You can call my mom, but I'm not going home today because you don't know what I went through to get here. Somebody threw the block through his window. He got in the fight. He missed breakfast, all the things. He went to school, but he said, no, I've refused to go home today. So he talked a lot about the school to prison pipeline, which basically says Black and brown boys are subjected to expulsion, suspension at higher rates than anybody else. He pointed out that we should stop combining someone else's experience to be comfortable. So basically, my trauma doesn't trump your trauma. I don't know what you've been through. You don't know what I've been through. And he talked about being compassionate, which means to be empathetic, but to work with me, you understand what I'm saying. It's okay for you to ride with me and go through what I'm going through. So he talked a lot about that. Next thing, we ended with rural school social work. I did not put the challenges on here because we all know what the challenges are. So the strengths that we talked about in the session were a strong sense of community, family engagement, self-reliance, values and traditions, smaller classes, teachers understand the unique needs of students, individualized attention, resiliency, and resourceful. So, with that being said, we are doing the right things. We just have to keep doing things right. I think we're in an amazing district. We do all the things. And when they said rural, I was like, I'm going to be the only one in this session but there was somebody from West Virginia. The the last day I met someone from Park City, Kansas, I think, or Park somewhere up by Kansas City. Okay, there were two workers there, some Park something, I don't know. She said it's by Kansas City, but I'm not in Kansas City. So it was good, just to engage with them and, kind of understand. We all basically have the same struggles. They're just on a larger scale. When I told them my district is 1,300 kids, they were like, oh, well, that's one of our elementary schools. I'm like, oh, okay. So one lady, she said, I think she had 40 or 50,000 in her district. Lots of charter schools there. So, they do things a little bit different, but the same. This is our Midwest region. This was like pre-conference, so not everybody was there. That's why I said some of us. So we ended Miss Mary on the end right here. She's our Midwest region representative, so I still get emails from her, communicate a lot with them. And Chicago Public Schools did headshots for us. So thank you. And there's references. Any questions?
So, very powerful information. It's almost like you gave an in-service. So my question would be, well, no, and that's a compliment.
Okay.
Because I've done a lot of research on what you've talked about. However, Mrs. Superintendent, how will she present this to the other staff? Because the information is that powerful, in my opinion.
Well, this will be something, we have those differentiated PD days. We've got a couple of those built into the calendar for next year, so that could be an opportunity for her to share that. She may share it out on a Wednesday morning with the PLC groups. It was a lot of information, and she's using that in her day-to-day work.
We also have district social emotional meetings. We'll have another one of those tomorrow, and Christina shared some of that at our last meeting, so we were able to talk about like the triggers. We have trigger worksheets that we do when kids are in the recovery room, and recognizing what triggered them and better understanding that processing piece of what happened. How do I make amends? How do I rectify that situation? How do I learn from that situation? So we've talked a little bit about some of the stuff she's gotten and how do we put that into our systems that we have in place.
For all staff?
All staff.
Okay. Very good.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank
Good job.
I know that was Tyler.
I think it's good that the administrators got to hear that today, so they can, surely they can get it into their buildings.
Right.
So we're moving on to 8.0, reports by principals. We typically start with the high school, so if the high school wants to come up. Oh, I'm so sorry, I skipped the report of the superintendent. I already had that marked off. 7.0, report of the superintendent.
And mine's going to be really quick and short, but I did want to share something that's not on the list. I received a letter from Dr. Watson, who's the Commissioner of Education, and it says, Dear Superintendent, the Challenge Awards are a celebration of the great work schools are doing and remind us to continue pushing forward to improve student academic performance and narrow the gap between all of our subgroups. The schools being honored this year are doing an exceptional job in those areas. We are pleased to award your district for outstanding achievements and uncommon accomplishments based on the Kansas math and reading assessment results, graduation rates, chronic absenteeism rates, and the socioeconomic status of those taking the test. Attached are the certificates to be awarded to the schools in your district. Kansas is fortunate to have extraordinary educators and administrators whose leadership guides our students to achieve beyond what students themselves thought possible. So this year, we did receive 2 of those awards for last year's work, and so I'd like to recognize, so when I call the school, I need the principal to come up. They're going to get their certificate, Mr. Pegues is going to take their picture, and all of that, and then they can share it with their staff. So Garfield Elementary is awarded a 2023 Certificate of Merit for Outstanding Achievement and Uncommon Accomplishment based on the Kansas math and reading assessment results and other qualifying factors. So, yeah.
And this is for last year, right?
Yes, it is. For the 23 tests that they did last year. Nice work. Oh, you're gonna stand right there. No, give him a ball or something. I know. My head sticking out. Okay. And the next challenge award of merit goes to Guthridge Elementary School. So for outstanding achievement, uncommon accomplishment on the math and reading assessment. So Kurt, come on down.
Good job.
So this is really, it was very exciting. I was proud of him. That was some good news to get in the mail. Good work. Good work. Yep, thank you.
Congrats.
All right, and so then I'll go through the rest of my things pretty quick. Legislative update, I don't even know. You can go and follow the trackers. Senate Bill 387, which was the one where they were taking the LOB and going to make it do special ed and all of those things. That failed, and so we're glad to hear that. That's good for public schools, so they're still in the midst of things. On Friday, we do have Representative Goddard coming. So he will be here. He's going to visit some classrooms, take a tour of the district and the facilities. We always appreciate his willingness to listen and to share and ask questions when he's voting on things that are happening. So we've got that. Next thing coming up Saturday is the prom. And I'm sure Rob and Tyler will have more to tell you about that, about the walk-in and the drive-up and how they're going to do that and what that's going to look like and the reasons for doing that. So next, April 22nd, we do not have school. For students, we do have professional development. That will be the last letters training for our elementary staff, and they will have completed 2 years of letters training. We are one of the few districts in the state that has trained everyone, pre-K-5, regular ed, special ed, administrators, and our instructional coaches. So I do feel like that's good. Good for us. We've done good work. They've worked hard. And May the 13th is our next regular board meeting, and so that will be the day after graduation, which I'm sure they're going to talk about as well. And then on the 17th, that is the last student day. It's a Friday. We have early dismissal at noon, grades for teachers in the afternoon. Then the following Monday, on the 20th, is the teacher's last day of work, last teacher day, and that's also going to be our retirement luncheon. And historically, we've done a retirement tea, and it's the beginning of May, but it's hard for everyone to get there because there's 52 sports going on, and we may have 20 or 30 that are able to attend. I think Tony Martinez was the one who'd seen it in another district and had said, hey, they have a luncheon on the last day and everyone comes together and they invite retired people and they invite, current, they invite board members and family, and everyone has a lunch together and then they recognize those that are retiring. And we thought, what a great idea. So we're going to give that a whirl on May the 20th. So you'll have your invite to that. We'll be coming. So that's what I have. Any questions?
Okay, I guess we can move on to 8.0 now and hear from the high school principals.
I'd like to start by, first of all, expressing our condolences to Phil Kinley High School for an accident they had over the weekend where they lost a student, had three others injured. We have some ties to Coffeyville, some former Coffeyville people here and some of ours there, so our condolences go out to them first. Like other schools, very busy time of the year for the high school. May 26th, we had our career fair. Miss Lucas did a really good job. 26 businesses attended. Students were really well behaved. They got a lot of good information. One of the handouts I gave you is we're finishing up our state assessments this week. Science is this week. Mrs. Good does a really good job. You'll see tomorrow we have pre-assessment meeting where she'll call all the students down and tell them what room they're going to. It's the first handout here. This one. Where she'll tell all the students where they're going. She'll have that meeting tomorrow. Then Thursday, all our students, all our teachers get a list of where they'll be just in case. And then the last page I gave you is the schedule of all the coverage of where every teacher will be, who will cover for them. And so Ms. Good does a takes a lot of time to do this for every assessment week we have, and she does a really good job. Next thing I gave you was our advisory. Those are our Wednesdays. Our 9th grade is doing our color code personality assessment. 10th grade this year has mock interviews, and 11th grade has job shadowing. April 24th, they're going to go out to businesses and actually shadow the businesses. Prom Saturday, walk-in 6:30 to 7:30. We're having that here this year, just the walk-in portion. Last year we had it at the convention center, and after the walk-in, everybody wanted to take pictures, and once you come into prom, you're not supposed to leave, so there's really no place inside the convention center except where the photographer's set up, so a lot of students coming in and out. That's hard for us to police, so we're going to get the walk in here. They can take pictures with family and friends, and then when they get to the convention center outside, they're there for the duration of prom. This year, for the first time since COVID, we have Project Prom afterwards. I'd like to thank the parents that have really stepped up and got that going back up. They got a lot of business donations, a lot of gifts and stuff to give out. They think it's going to be great for our kids to come back after prom, have some place to go. May 2nd, we're offering free physicals at the high school. We passed out forms last week. Those are coming back in. They're also available at the office if you need them. Kids that didn't get them, for example, mine got his and promptly brought it on my desk where it still is. So if they didn't bring them home, they can still get them in the office. Graduation May 12th, 2:30. Some of you have some kids graduating, so that'll be exciting. That's all I have.
Okay, I'll do a sports and activity update. Baseball is winning 2-0 in the 3rd inning, so that's good. That's where I came from before I came here. JV tennis was going on as well down at Forest Park. As far as numbers and how things are looking, baseball's 3-3 right now. The games they've lost have been very close. I think they're going to end up having a really good year. 19 players out for baseball. Softball is 1-4. I think the strides as a program they're making are huge. I think we have the right people in place. I've been really pleased and proud to see them. They take it serious and they do what's needed to be good. And they have 17 players out, so that's good to see. Tennis, boys tennis, they've been finishing first, second at pretty well every tournament they've went to. They've had several great showings. Expect them to do very well at SEK and regionals, have several qualify for state. Track, we have 33 boys and 18 girls out. The boys took second at their first track meet down in Altamont and first at Frontenac last week. They've had many individual placers, a lot of really good things happening there. Golf, the numbers are up. They had 4 last year. They're up to 9 this year. Coach Deroni told me it's probably the best competition league-wide that he's seen since he's been around it. So it's a very competitive league this year. Swim, we have 3 girls out working hard. One that may squeeze into state. That's a really tough sport if you haven't been doing it for a long time. And then on the club and activity side of it, TSA sent 10 students to state in Salina. Multiple 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place finishers, and 3 students took first in their respective events. Several qualified for nationals, so really well out there. FCCLA is at state right now in Wichita. We had 13 students go out there, so we'll find out probably tomorrow morning how they did. Forensics has had 9 qualify for state so far. Orchestra, band, and choir competed at Pitt State. At regional solo and ensemble, they had 11 qualify for state. So these are, I don't think that's normal. You know, this is my first year. That isn't what I'm used to seeing. So we should be very proud of the students, the coaches, the instructors. They're doing a phenomenal job. We also had cheer tryouts last week. We have dust kicker tryouts coming up. So it is an unbelievably busy time. I was on the phone with Olivia for about 10 minutes trying to coordinate vans, like what time do you need it? Okay, I can bring it back to you. So that club can go and that group can go. So yeah, it's a very busy time, but it's fun.
So what's TSA an acronym for?
Technology Student Association.
Pretty good organization.
Any other questions for these men? Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
For your presentation. Okay, moving on to middle school.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Man, there's a lot going on in the next 6 weeks. I sat down today and kind of got my report together, and it took about 5 minutes, and I had the whole page filled up, single-spaced. So I'm going to try to keep this really brief and kind of stick to the points so that I can communicate with some type of rationale or reasoning. Today was the solar eclipse. We dismissed kids. We went out there kind of at the peak eclipse time. We timed it right at 6th hour. The kids got to go out and enjoy the nice spring air. So that was enjoyable today. ELA state assessments started last week. We're hopeful for improved test scores this school year. We see it in our FastBridge assessments whenever we measure growth. This is the first year in 3 years that we've met the academic goal inside of the building to show that growth. I don't want to call them new because they've been in the district for years. They're just now in teaching positions. They've got another year of experience. Whenever we measure staff surveys through Panorama that looks at building culture and building climate, all of that's been on the rise the past 4 semesters also, and that's we're hopeful. We've got the right environment, we've got the right culture, with the right people in the right places. We've seen positive results this year. A big piece of that is communicating out to the students and to the parents that, you know, this is testing season. It's state assessments. ELA began last week. Tomorrow we're starting math, and so it's been at the top of our week at a glance for the last several weeks. At our week at a glance on Sundays, that newsletter that we put out at noon every Sunday. It's also 2 weeks ago we sent out a parent letter, put that out digitally and in their mailboxes. We've also sent daily testing tips out to the parents and the students, just helpful reminders to get a good night's sleep, to make sure that they eat breakfast and that they're prepared the next day. Our theme this year is grind, and it's just an acronym for do your best on the test. And so it's also been a part of our scoreboard assemblies every Friday leading up to this, so the kids know that they're testing. The teachers have tied incentives to it also. If we're able to meet those as a class, those goals as a class and objectives, then they've got incentives built in. 6th grade is actually going to take them to SOAR if we see the same kind of results as what we saw in FastBridge between the beginning of the year and winter assessments on FastBridge. And then 7th and 8th grade, they're taking them to the park also for a day at the park. Which, speaking of which, we have a ton of field trips. I have got them listed. Field trips, state assessment, FastBridge assessment. We've got job fair this Friday, and then we've got job shadowing coming up, inventorying classrooms, promotion, Action 8 field day, in-service, 2 in-service dates, and a noon dismissal, and that's all here in the next 6 weeks. So to prepare for that and to make sure that we don't leave anybody behind, or somebody doesn't know that today was the field trip, we've sent out postcards to our families, just with a timeline on what's going on each day, a lot like kind of what my admin update looks like. It's just a list of the dates and what's going on those days. One of the focuses that we've been discussing all year is kind of helping that transition for 5th graders coming over to the middle school. We're looking at doing a kind of an open house scavenger hunt just for the incoming 5th grade here coming up the 2nd week of May. Our idea is that the kids will come over to the middle school during the day, and they'll get tours from the classroom teachers and from some of our student council representatives. They'll all meet in the auditorium and kind of tour the building and get familiar with the campus and what kind of resources we have, what electives look like. Then they'll come back that afternoon and they'll give their parents the tour. We'll all meet. We're hoping to be able to do, a public dinner for them for all of those 5th grade families coming over to help make that transition smooth. And so with that, we've also got a ton of activities. That's just kind of the curriculum piece of it. And now we've got athletics and activities on top of that.
So many. So first we're going to do a relationship survey again. We did it at the beginning of the year just to see how much impact really our teachers and staff are having on the students. So they all get a list in their email and they select an adult in the building that they have a positive relationship with. In the fall we did it and we saw that all students could select at least one staff member that they had a positive relationship with. So we're hoping to continue to see that and then also see that increase. And as we've been able to build relationships through this school year, we hope they have more. Some of our activities, we also had students go to TSA. We sent 3 students and they placed 3rd in 2 different categories. We have esports still continuing, and they have about 9 students now that some other activities are done. So many sports coming up with our home tennis this week, home golf the 23rd, and home track the 25th. So if you want to come out and support the middle school Vikings, we'll be here. Last time I was here, we talked about moving the wrestling season around a little bit to allow girls the opportunity to do both girls basketball and wrestling. And with our kind of league, we were able to sit down and figure out some schedules so that we don't have to split them. We don't have to like share wrestling spaces with the high school. So what that's going to look like is we're going to have wrestling compete from October 29th until November 19th. So they'll finish right after football, and girls and boys will still wrestle together, but girls basketball is now pushed back. So girls basketball will compete December 5th through January 16th. And there'll be a little bit of overlap with girls and boys basketball, but not competition-wise. So then boys basketball will compete January 21st through March 1st. And that allows equal seasons, and it allows all of them to participate in all of the different opportunities that we offer. I'd hope that we see some growth in our wrestling program and continued growth in our basketball programs. Oh, and then also, one more thing. We've been working on this year raising funds for a digital sign outside of the middle school. So we were able to secure $10,000 from the Parsons Area Community Foundation towards that sign. And now our leadership class and our student council are kind of taking over, and they are going out to businesses and they are trying to secure additional funding for that. We're looking for them to raise about $10,000 more. So they've already had meetings with Commercial Bank, who donated some money. They have set up meetings with like O'Reilly and Tank Connection. In leadership class and student council, they've divided those kind of roles up. So they have people that made an infographic, they have people that are doing the cold calls, and they have people that are doing the presentations with the businesses.
Today was their first presentation at O'Reilly's.
They were a little nervous, but did great. Yeah.
Questions here? Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Ready for elementary?
Civic order here.
Hey, I'll start then. So Lincoln also has been very busy. We did go out and do the solar eclipse today, and it was a lot of fun. The week of April 1st, we celebrated Paraprofessional Day in our building. So we have some great people that work with our kids, and so we kind of, gave them some special treatment. We had lots and lots of Easter activities on Friday. We had some egg hunts, and then first grade had a peep experiment where they used the peep the whole week, and they kept them in a little cradle thing on their desk. Tomorrow we are going to have a booth at Curious Minds for the Week of the Young Child, and it looks like there's about 10 different agencies that are going to be there. So it's going to be a fun time. Our preschool team is going to be there, and I'm going to be there, and we're going to be doing some hands-on activities with the kids. April 18th, we're going to have family night at Lincoln. We're going to all play bingo, and that should be fun. We had a great turnout last year, so we're hoping for a great turnout this year. Lots and lots of field trips are going on. April 26th, our first grade is going to meet with second grade teachers, and we're going to start with vertical alignment. We're also going to ask those second grade teachers, hey, is there anything that, you're wanting to see whenever the kids come in that maybe we need to, look at a little differently or harder on? And then this week, we're also progress monitoring for FastBridge. So we've got some busy times. Next.
Thank you. My turn?
I'm gonna high five you.
All right. Okay.
That didn't work out.
I was waiting for a question and answer period. I figured we would have all kinds of questions. Ms. Gardner. At Garfield, we're having a great year at Garfield Elementary. This past Friday and this Monday, we kicked off our Test Fest 2024. We've been working very hard to motivate our students to do their very best. So please take a few moments if you get a chance, check out our social media presence, see some of the things that the teachers are doing, that some of the staff are doing. They do an amazing job. The Breakfast of Champions and other motivational encouragement things that they do. I am just super stoked with the way second grade takes ownership of this as well. Because it really is I talk to my teachers about this all the time, that the third grade test scores that we see really are a reflection of pre-K through third grade. They're not really just a reflection of anything that any one group of kids or teachers have done, that it's kind of it's a longitudinal thing that we're really proud of our entire district for. So that's a really positive thing in our building. Like I said, our second grade takes a wonderful amount of pride in helping to prepare our third graders. All of our staff participated, from food service and custodial all the way up. Everybody wrote encouragement notes. We're hopeful that our hard work, teacher-wise, staff-wise, will pay off and will be reflected in our scores next year. We're proud of our students no matter what. They've worked very hard, as have our staff. Our classes, like the other schools, have planned to participate in some activities to go along with viewing the eclipse. Our students, they were amazed. They had, they were very. There was a lot of put your glasses back on, put your glasses back on, put your glasses back on. Other than that, they did a wonderful job, and they really were amazed. Perfect science teaching opportunity, great chance for the kids to learn about some of those things that they haven't. I mean, at their age, they haven't really had a chance to experience things like that. So, we also have a lot of upcoming events planned to engage our students and families. Our color walk, pennies for poems, spring concerts are all coming up fairly soon. It seems impossible that we're almost ready for these late year activities, but time flies when you're having fun at Garfield. Along with our family engagement activities, we'll have district testing and several other real world learning activities as well, field trips and such. Needless to say, we have a very busy schedule in the second and third grade realm for the rest of the year. Our students are still working hard on their accelerated reader program. We have a few classes who all of the students have met their yearly goals so far. So, and we have a couple of students who are at 300, 400, 500 point range. So they're really working hard. We hope that we're creating lifelong readers. That's really the goal of that, is to create lifelong readers who enjoy that and become constant, consistent adult learners and good citizens. Aside from our fast and furious spring, we're happy to have such a good flow going. Summer school is planned and tentatively staffed. Our teachers really know the importance of this, and they help keep it growing as a school. They jumped all over the opportunity to volunteer, spend some extra time with our students. We plan currently to have about 50 to 70 students. We're going to start at the 30th percentile and work our way up with our invitations. We're going to, we want our students to participate in this, get some free learning and some fun time to boot. I'll echo what Ms. Ray said. April 22nd, our last letters training for the year. As a whole, our school considers ourselves very lucky to be able to do this. When I'm doing building walkthroughs, I love it when I see the science of reading going on in the classroom. You don't see it every single time, but the teachers are definitely incorporating it. Even more so, I'm especially excited when I see the students. I have students occasionally read to me, and I'll talk to them about different phonemes and vowel teams and things, and when they can give that back to me, it's just awesome. That lets me know that the teacher's doing a wonderful job actually using that professional development. So we're really thankful to the district for providing that. All in all, at Garfield, we're having a wonderful year. Our atmosphere is staying positive, climate strong, and very community centered. We feel lucky to have the community and district support. It really helps us, and thank you guys for your continued support. Anybody have any questions?
Hey, Barney.
Yes, sir.
So you have teachers volunteering to tutor students from the 30th percentile? I didn't.
Our summer school, we typically start our invite process for the students who fall into that kind of higher tier category of need. So we invite students first that are at the 30th percentile or below, and then to fill up our ranks, we extend up from there. So next we'll bump up to about the 40th, and we'll try to get those kids that really do have some gaps, and that it's even more important to prevent that summer slide from happening. You know, we work really hard to build the students up. We get a little bit of growth, and the summer slide knocks them back down. We really, really are just thrilled that the district gives us the opportunity to help prevent some of that.
That's good.
All right, thank you.
I'm going for it next time.
I would think you should. You shouldn't want to follow that up.
I do not want to follow that up. He's a tough act to follow, but what they both said, it's happening in every building. And I was thinking as we were talking about, I don't know who's working harder, kids, the teachers, or maybe Rick, our bus manager. I mean, it is.
Probably Rick.
He keeps the buses running on time, and it's a challenge because we're going to try to reward our kids. You know, Barney, I can't rap, but yes, you can. But
I don't know if Barney can either. I felt like you should have led with the rap tonight. I'm kind of disappointed.
I feel like we should have put it up.
Next time, maybe.
We should have put it up there.
I did invite you to check out our social media presence.
And I did. But I need to be able to listen in rap because I couldn't understand.
You got Mr. Freeze boxing next to you next time.
well, I wish I had your talent. I would have. My mother-in-law once told me, proud of his voice. Didn't say a good voice. But you know, it's learning time everywhere, especially at Guthridge. We talk hard work pays off all the time, so we thought this year we would have a learning zone, a work zone. So Mr. Holmes and Ms. Peave and some of our staff came up during spring break, and we've got construction zones going. Some places, and we bought some construction gear, hats, tool belts. I should have borrowed your belt for that too. But every day we nominate one student from each classroom, and we recognize them as the hard worker of the day. That's really been good because we're testing in every nook and cranny in our building for about 4 weeks straight. Every Tuesday and Wednesday is our test days, and then Thursday and Friday are our makeup days. So this week, 4th grade math hit. Started some today. And, you know, you talk to the teachers, and you know, Mr. Swanson said it best, you know, it's a math assessment, but if you can't read, you can't calculate. I think someone said they thought there was 29 out of 30 multi-step you had to problem solve. So hopefully we'll do well. Our teachers have worked hard, our kids are working hard, so 5th grade goes next week, and then we're gonna take a deep breath, and we're gonna go to the skating rink and reward all our kids for working hard on their assessments. And then we've got some trips planned, and then we're gonna buckle up and try to do it again on Fast Bridge, which is new for Guthridge, but just another way for us to measure growth and see how things are going. And as Barney had said, we're excited about the opportunity for summer school. During SIT team meetings and during some other meetings, parents are asking, what do we do with our students that may fall behind? So it's nice we have that opportunity. We're probably going to invite all our students. 4th and 5th graders sometimes aren't as excited. Last year we started at the 30th percentile, and we opened it up to everyone. So I think our letters are going to go out. I can't remember if it's tomorrow or Thursday. I think probably Thursday. We'll send letters to everyone and see who we've got. We've got volunteers. We've got staff that want to be part of it, and I think it's going to be great. Let me make sure I haven't missed anything that's you're a dude. That's we're calling it Vikings Dive into Summer Fun. That should be great. And like I said, we're doing a lot, not just for the state assessment scores. We want our kids to grow socially, emotionally. We're talking about being kind all the time. That's one of our focuses, and I'm interested to see how our surveys come back when we look at how our students have acted. We look at discipline to see. Seems like our kids are nicer and happier to each other, but if you have a nice, happy school, kids want to come to school more, and it's been a focus. We're trying to improve our attendance every week with class competitions, 4th grade versus 5th grade percentage that came. 5th grade has been performing a little bit better than 4th grade, which is, I don't know what that tells us. It's a larger class, and they've attended at a little higher rate, so that's kind of nice. We're in that 73, 74% almost every day. I tell them if we ever get to 80% for the week, we'll double the $1 prize. Our teachers we got deep pockets. We're donating $1 to a 4th grader and $1 to a 5th grader every week to get perfect attendance. We spin the wheel, and if you happen to be there every week, you get $1, so the kids are excited about that. And we didn't track it really well early on in the year, but at the end of the third 9 weeks, we recognized 95% attendance instead of perfect attendance, and 75 of our basically 200 kids were here. That's a pretty good clip. It highlights that most of our kids are coming, and then what we've got to do is find a way, and Mr. Geese is helping us target those kids that are chronically absent or truant, and try a way to get those, because that, 75 of our kids, which is a large percentage, are here 95% of the time. And we're really thankful for that, and I think that's because our climate is positive, our teachers are kind, and everyone that works there tries to welcome them. Not quite as good as the music at Lincoln, but on Fridays we do play some music, and if we can get you to come over and rap, we'll be killing it. Next year. Any questions?
Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, we are moving on to 9.0. We do have the report from the March Tri-County Board meeting. Kayla, if you would please provide that.
Yes, okay, and I'm gonna make it quick. So last year they had, kind of their budget was not calculated quite correctly, so they're fixing that this year. They just want to make swear there's plenty of money and it's going to be fine. Hiring, they are hiring lots of people right now, and of course they're experiencing that shortage that we're feeling in the special education realm. So they're doing a lot of new things to try to recruit people to different positions. We also, in our area, have increased the number of students with IEPs, which requires more teachers, more aides, all of the things. And so that is a struggle, but they are trying to be creative with that. One of the things that they want to put on the table are raises for their teachers and for their paras, because right now a lot of their teachers through Tri-County get paid less than the district teachers in which they work. So they're going to try to match that to try to combat that. And then we had a wonderful presentation from some of the kids that are in the ELP on solar panels, and they are way smarter than I am. So, and they did a fantastic job. Yes, so that was and they have really good snacks there, so I know why Leanne likes to go to them.
Any questions or further discussion on that? Okay, thank you very much for going to that in Ms. Hunter's absence. Moving to 10.0, action to accept donations to schools.
All right, this is on page 41 in your packet. First, at Lincoln Elementary, there were 3 donations from PTO. One for conference meals, $200, for tricycles, $1,523.95, and one for griddles for the school at $54.46, for a total of $1,778.41. The PTO made another donation at Garfield for a restricted special purchase valued $1,813.42, and that was the total of their donations for the month of February. Guthridge PTO made a donation for conference food valued at $175, and that was the total of donations in February there. The middle school, there were no donations in February. At the high school, there were a whole lot of donations to the TSA program. So what I'll do is I'll read the name and the amount until we get to the next one. Okay, so these were all TSA donations. Darrell Cave, $50. Betty Bluebaugh, $150. Bowen Pharmacy, $200. Babcock Manufacturing, or the home store, $50. Julie and Robert Legler, $200. iCare Associates of Parsons, $200. Happy Food Concessions, $100. Strategic Partners, $150. Mike Carpino Ford in PK, $100. USD 503, $200. Wave Wireless, $200. Dixie and James Quirin, $50. CST Industries, $1,400. Pine Ridge Properties, $200. B&J Express Lube, $150. Julie McIntosh, $50. So those were the TSA donations for the month at the high school. Robbie and David Martin made a donation to Spirit Club, $25. There was an anonymous donation to PHS Cheer, $1,062. Opile Prince for positive reinforcement, $11.24. In memory of Robert Michael, PHS Honor Flight donation of $180. The Essig family donated $100 to the orchestra program. There were 3 anonymous donations. One was to the FCCLA program for $93. Another anonymous donation to the football program, $5,200. And another anonymous donation to the Writers Club $65, for a total of donations at the high school for the month of February, $10,186.24. Total district donations were $13,953.07. I recommend that you approve those generous donations for the district for the month of February.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve those donations. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. 10.1, have a strategic plan update and further discussion.
All right, well, really, I don't know that there'll be a lot of discussion this evening. I wanted to hand out what we've started to work through after our meeting last time, where we met for a couple hours and identified the 5 big goal areas that had been determined, one of those being academic success and student supports, one being facilities and infrastructure, personnel recruitment, retention and development, early childhood development, and culture, climate, and connection. Those were the 5. Chronic absenteeism was put under there, and so I just want you to see, here's what we've got so far. And this is draft form. This isn't something that we're going to put out to the public. This is a lot of words, but it takes a lot of steps and a lot of thinking through what we're going to do so that we have a plan that, 1, makes sense, 2, that you can actually do, and 3, that then we follow up and hold ourselves accountable for. Okay? And so when we look at that, the action steps on each of those areas, you can look through there and see these were things that we felt like for academic success and student success, actually it should be academic success and student supports. We've got that. But these were some action steps that we felt like we could take. And this was based on the feedback that we got from you and from administrators and some students and parents as well. So that's what each of these are. This is draft. This doesn't mean we're doing all of these things. But as you take it home this evening in the next week, if you want to take it home, read it, look at it and say, well, what does this mean? Shoot Jeff or I an email or a text, and then we can continue to make those changes and those drafts. And next month will come, each week on Friday in your view, we're going to provide you with an updated one so that you can kind of see it as we're building it in progress. But this was the first big plunge.
And you can see multiple goals on some of those, and that, we're still in the process of discussing this with admin and instructional coaches and getting feedback from a variety of our people too, and about what they see in those buildings. So it's going to change in some, but we wanted to get out, some of those basic thoughts, whether they're fresh in our head after meeting with you guys, and get something down. And
what we'll put out for the public will be similar to what we've had in the past, and these are the big goal areas, and these are the big items, big ticket items under each of those. These right here, this is the action steps. This is what the board can look at, and this is what administrators, instructional coaches have said, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is why we think it's important to do it, not just because it showed up on some random survey, but how it's going to impact kids, what it's good for, and then here's how we're going to do it, and here's how we're going to show you that we did it. So this is just the first step. It's way too much to read tonight. I wasn't expecting anybody to read. Don't think, oh, I think she handed us out 14 pages. Because she did. Okay. But as you have feedback and things, every Friday you'll be getting something. If you need something, or if you see something, or if you look and you think, well, what about this? Then let us know, because it's possible. We had stuff written on the board and on papers and on sticky notes, and then we took pictures of things. It's a process. It is.
For the general public, we need to take out those acronyms and put in what it really stands for.
Right, yeah, this is just a working document for us. You're absolutely right. We want to make sure people know what it means, and it's very clear, that we don't use a bunch of jargon.
And what we're putting out for the general public, less is going to be more. Nobody's going to read all that,
No.
That's
I thought it's going to streamline this a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, and we are going to for the general public, but in order to get it streamlined, we've got to work through the meat of it. So, but yes, you're right. It needs to be streamlined, and it will. And when it's done, it'll all be nice and
we have to
clear.
keep it by that fourth thing. How are we doing it?
Right.
Yeah.
Or it's just
Right.
words on paper.
And how we're going to measure it.
Exactly.
Measuring that's the key part
It
of some
is.
of that is we have to be able to measure improvement on
For
some
sure.
of those things. So.
And so next year in July, when we sit down and get ready to start for the whole year, and you're given the accountability plan. So that's something that they'll report each month at the board meeting. It's going to be tied directly to this, so that you have an ongoing knowledge of what's happening. So that's what I have. But if you've got questions, or you need anything, or you think something's missing, or you want to add something, please let me know.
Okay, moving on to 10.2, action on the open enrollment policy.
All right, so per the Kansas statute 723123 and 723124 and 723126, as of last year, they've made this new requirement. Before May the 1st of each year, the superintendent of schools will develop and submit a recommendation to the Board of Education declaring the projected enrollment for next year and the number of open seats available to non-residents. Okay? And this year, if it's a non-resident, a lot of times we've had applications, so if you were a non-resident, you could apply. You had to meet certain criteria. You had to be a student in good standing, which meant attendance, behavior, grades. So the legislature has done away with that and has said for open enrollment, you must take whoever applies if you have the capacity. And so that's why, for this first year. So that's why we went through. I gave you all of that in March with that whole big report. I've taken it on this sheet of paper. What you'll see are those two charts. So the enrollment projections per grade level, and pre-K doesn't count. It's not part of any of those statutes. I put 100 in there just as a place value, as a placeholder. So projected enrollment 1329, I would suspect that's where we're at right now, and we all know things wax and wane depending on who's moving in and out. So non-resident student enrollment capacity, those are how many spots we would have available in each of the buildings and then in each of the grade levels for out-of-district folks to apply. Okay? The other thing is that you have to identify if there are programs in the district, middle school, high school specifically, that are already at capacity if you're not going to have capacity. For example, our day school at that TEC, Tri-County Education Center, we have 12 spots. That's it, 12 slots. That's all we get. They're already full, and they're projected to be full next year. So we don't have any spots for an out-of-district student who might need those services. We don't have those services available. The other two right now are middle school, high school functional low incidence classrooms based on the severity of the students that we have in those two classrooms and the fact that we have teachers that are right now working on their degrees. They are not licensed, fully licensed teachers, and based on the projected enrollment of resident students in all three of those programs, there would be no capacity for non-resident students. And so what we have to do is we need the board to approve these, and then we will post them, because in June, we'll have open enrollment. And so that's when non-resident students can enroll in the district. And what they'll do is they'll look on the website and they'll say, oh, hey, I have a 9th grader. Oh, well, look, there's plenty of spots. I would like to enroll in the 9th grade. And they can do that. If for some reason we have more people enroll from out of district non-residents than the spots we have available, then we have to have a lottery system. So, we can set that up.
Like, for the high school, projected enrollment is 418, non-resident is 90, so if you subtract 90 from 418, that's the current enrollment?
No, the current enrollment right now is 418.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Okay. Yep. It is.
And we could have 90 more?
Sure.
Okay. Got it.
Because we felt like based on class size or cohort size, that if we had 125 or 130, I think was what we had said. Well, that was in this March information. 130 per grade level. If we had that, that would be where we could have up to 520 at the high school.
Yeah. So this document is the only one we have to take action on tonight?
That is correct.
This document, okay.
And really, what we have to take action upon tonight is just a projected enrollment, and the number of open seats available to non-resident students.
And the programs that have no availability, which are stated on this document.
That is correct.
Okay.
And so I had written down what the motion needed to be. Did I give that to you, Amanda? We talked about it, and then but it's just this recommendation of enrollment projections, non-resident enrollment capacity, and non-resident enrollment capacity for the programs listed.
Okay, so we need a motion then to.
Hold on, is this modifiable during the year? Let's say you have a teacher shortage and you can't have 50 kids in a class.
So it's supposed to be done every year, and so we're looking at it next year that we would have 5 of each grade level. And so if, like, during the course of the year, a teacher left, is that what you mean?
Yes.
Right, if a teacher left, then we already would have those students enrolled, so we'd have to divvy them up between the 4 that were left, or hire a substitute, which would probably be what we would do, try to find a high-quality person. But we'll see how this goes this year. I mean, we'll see how this goes. And then next year, it's something that you look at every year, because we may find out, oh, wow, that was way off base. We needed to have more, or we can't have that many. Or if the board decides we need to reduce staff, well, then obviously, we're going to have less capacity for non-resident folks. But we'll do that each prior to May of each school year, until they change the law, which
I'll make a motion that we accept this
Okay, so the motion.
open enrollment policy.
The motion that Mr. Martino is making is to accept the 24-25 enrollment projections, the non-resident student enrollment capacities as stated, and also the delineation of the 3 programs that have no capacity. And so we need a second on that.
I second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Moving to 10.3, executive session to discuss personnel matters for non-elected personnel. So once again, we've got these 3 sequential executive sessions, so we need a motion for 10 minutes for this first one, please. Do we need a break before the first one? Okay, so we need a 5-minute break before the first one, and then we'll go into executive session for 10 minutes, so.
I move we take a 5-minute break and go into executive session at 7:32. Oh, wait, back at 7:32 for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I second.
Moved and seconded to enter executive session, discuss confidential employee information pursuant to the non-elected personnel exception in Tacoma. And we will do that for 10 minutes after a 5-minute break. So we will enter executive session 7:32, be back in this room at 7:42. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye.